Today we're going to look at just a couple hip health drills you can do throughout your week to help break up some of that tension you might be experiencing, especially if you sit a lot and you have to take a long commute, anything like that, you travel a lot for work, or you're just feeling a little extra tension, right? We can work through that. So, hope you enjoy this one today. I want you to start in a quadruped position here. I like to keep my toes engaged with the ground. Reason for that, big toe stiffness can actually cause a lot of random problems in the human body. I shouldn't say random, we're all connected. There's a lot of connected things throughout the body, but it's pretty funny that if you think about the big toe down there, it could cause things like back pain. It's also attached to your glute and getting that glute to fire a little bit more. So we want to help get a little range of motion in it. Sometimes it gets a little stiff, so engaging with the floor like I am here helps that process. First thing I want you to do, I want you to drive your leg straight back. As you do so, avoid rotating out to the side. So keep that leg straight back, send it out to the side, and then back down controlled. This is actually going to turn on a lot of your core engagements, your abs, your obliques, transverse abs, trying to keep that stability. So as you drive back, you'll feel that core turn on, drive out to the side, and back down. You see how slow I'm going. I'm not rushing these. Often when I see people doing these, they're just trying to draw circles as fast as they can and probably just blowing by value. So keep it slow here. Driving back, around, there you go, working through that tense point. We're going to go one more on this side. Driving back, controlled, and around. Okay? Now you can switch over to the other side. You got to balance it out. Make sure we're getting both sides evenly here. So again, as you drive back, keep that core turned on. Send it around, find those tense points, and back down. Try not to rush this one. And as you do this, avoid forming this huge arch in your low back. Little low back movement's okay, but we want to try to keep it as still as we can to rely on the hip for as much movement as possible. Here we go, driving back, controlled, around, good. Keeping that core turned on. Again, just talking about everything being connected. When you engage your core in this movement, you have to rely a lot more on your hip to get things going. If you just are kind of floppy through the midsection and your low back is allowed to move a ton, it might bail you out of some tense points that you could really value or get value out of by moving that hip. Next one here, I want you to drive one knee up, back knees flat on the ground. What I want you to focus on is not arching forward to try to get a hip flexor stretch here. I want you to think about engaging this glute, turning that glute on, pushing your hip forward by engaging your glute. Take your hand here, anchor this front foot to the ground, push the outside knee away, and then back in controlled. Pushing away and back in controlled. Remember, we're not trying to arch the low back to get that hip flexor stretch. I want you to think about engaging that glute back there to push the hip forward into the stretch instead of trying to force it by just arching your body to get into that stretch. Let's just go one more here and we'll switch sides. We'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll say facing this way just so you can see what it looks like from the other angle. So again, knee is on the ground. Engage your glute to push that hip forward. Use your front hand to keep that front foot anchored as best you can. It's okay if it rocks open a little bit, but I want you to try to keep as much of that foot anchored as you can. Again, remember, dig into that glute press with your glute, not with your body, not just throwing yourself forward to get that hip flexor stretch. If you're not feeling anything, chances are this back knee could go back a little bit further. And also, if you're not feeling anything and you're in a position similar to me, that's a great problem to have. Now let's keep it that way. So one thing I'll always say with some athletes I work with is sometimes they're like, well, I don't feel this doing anything, or this mobility exercise doesn't really feel like it's targeting anything for me. Okay, good. let's not let it ever target anything and have tension, right? So it's still targeting things. It's not doing nothing, but the fact that you don't feel super tight and feel like you have all this tension is not the worst problem to have. Now the goal is keep it that way, right? We want to make sure that we don't have that happening more and more, especially throughout life. Next one here, I want you to put your front knee and hip in a 90-degree angle, back knee and hip 90-degree angle as well. And then you're going to rock forward towards your front knee here. You're going to feel this down the side, into your glute a little bit. I want you to think slow and steady, controlling your breath. You can use this top hand, just kind of anchor your shin to the ground. Biggest key is you're not just slamming into that shin, right? We're keeping it nice controlled here, light on the hand, just enough of an anchor point as we hinge down and back up. Really think about just breathing nice and steady. Good little hinge. Feeling that stretch and back up. So you'll see, I usually keep things a little bit more movement based instead of pausing. I like to just explore and kind of find those end range points, pause for a split second, and then get out of there. And then come back in, see what else we got on this next time. See if we got a little bit more, explore it, and get out of there. Just helps me work through that tense point. It also allows me to be more active in this process. Not that passive or just static stretching is the worst thing, but I like to just kind of explore, get out, keep moving on. Also, it's just nice to have some extra focus and feel out different points of my body here as I go and just see what's different from left to right, whatever things I can focus on. I like exploring how I can use my breath to get more range of motion. All of these things are important things that you can do. And I just personally like to learn about my body a little bit more through these ranges as we go. Remember, breathing nice and easy, not fighting tension with tense breath. You can see how slow I'm going here. There's no rush, no reason to rush. I want to get a couple quality repetitions in. I'm not looking for 100 reps here. I'm doing about 5 each side, but I'm keeping it slow and steady, just really just taking the time and back up. Might feel like I need a couple extra on one side compared to the other. That's totally okay. Listen to your body. If you feel like you need a few more on one side, chances are you do, so take it. Doesn't always have to be even, right? We can have a little bit of ebb and flow based on what the body needs. Last one I'm going to do here, I'm going to send one leg straight out, other leg I'm grabbing with my hands, and now I just want to draw circles here with this knee around and just explore where I might be tight. I'm not trying to force through anything. We're all going to be a little bit different in terms of construction of the hip. So certain points to you might feel like it's really pinching, and then chances are you just need to release that area a little bit and not go as hard there, so not pull as hard into it. But I want to try to work through a nice range of my hip here. Just going back and forth. Honestly, I don't really give a rep range to this one. I just go until I feel pretty good through the hip. Feel like I got rid of some of those tense points, especially here for me. This side's really, really tight there, and then releases really nicely the rest of the way. So I spend a little bit slower time here, driving that knee over to the opposite leg, and then back out. Go same thing on the other side to finish out. Last one here. Off legs just laying straight on the ground. Draw that circle. Find those tense points. Remember, use your breath as your advantage, not as something that's going to hinder you from getting through this range of motion here. Again, not really assigning any sort of rep range to it, just kind of going off a feel for this one. Working through any sort of tension, feeling that tense point. You probably see it in my face when I hit that tense point, but the key is to keep breathing nice and steady. So don't hold your breath. That's one of the easiest things to do is hold your breath. It takes a lot of discipline to try to breathe through any tense points and keep things going nice and steady. Let's go one more. Kind of feeling this one out, and we'll call it a day. Good. So, just a quick little hip-based routine you can do there. Again, highly recommend doing this multiple times a week versus just once on the weekends for a longer period of time. You know, this is a few minutes of your day. This is a great way to break up tension while you're at the desk and before you're heading to a practice, or even if your kids have sport practices, or even yourself, you're getting out of school, right? School, most of the times you got to sit a lot throughout the day. Do this one before you get into your activities post-school, just to break up some tension and build that habit of making this part of your routine, and your body will really thank you.